you know my story with my experience with a campfire, and how I lost almost all of the artwork that I had created when I was in high school. And you know, it still is painful to think of having lost that. But I've been able to do other things built upon what I did in high school. In fact, you know, one of the drawings I did in high school, I recently recreated it in a little bit different format, but you know, I was able to improve on it, because I just said I need to do this again. It's really hard right at the start, but I think I also told you before that when my wife and I got to our property where my house and art studio was after the campfire, took a whole month of agonizing. Is it there or is it not? You know, did it survive or is it burned to the ground? And we got there and there was nothing there. I mean, there were ashes is all. And this sounds kind of corny, I guess, but I just thought, well, I guess that was my practice round.
Mm-hmm.
I get to start all over again. And that's not an easy thing to do. And by that point, I already had a month of grieving and a month of knowing that it probably wasn't there and there was probably nothing left. And so, you know, it took that long for me to be able to get up there and be able to think, well, I guess I get to start all over again. I mean, I looked at it as an opportunity instead of I lost all of this stuff. And then as you and I have shared before, that song came to my mind from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. From the ashes of disaster grow the roses of success. And honestly, that there were some rose bushes right next to where my studio was, and you know, they were still there. It didn't look like they were damaged that much. I mean, singed a little bit, but it looked like they would grow back. And certainly the roses, if the roses can survive going through that, then so can I.
How beautiful. Even thinking like that.
And you know, it's really hard. That's not an easy thing to do. And you do need to grieve. You do need to be sad, and you do need to think about all the things that you've lost, but they're still in here. And if you remember the good things that you had, then I think it will inspire you to go in the direction, that the next direction. I mean, people have always said, you know, when one door closes, another door opens. You know, sometimes you got to crawl through a window, I guess. I don't know, but you know.
So with that being said, because it's almost like it could be compared, right, to the passing of a person, the illusion in our minds that we can't physically touch, walk, spend time with, whatever these things, these material things that we lost, right? But you ended up realizing you have the memory.
Yeah.
Or did that take you a long time to process? Like, even you might have known it and had heard about it or had experienced deaths. Like, what, how would you describe, like, were you holding on to the idea, like, I don't have this tangible thing anymore? Like, I can't go to the studio. I don't have my paintings. Like, were you stuck in that kind of mindset?
I didn't stay there very long. I don't remember being there for long. I just, I was grateful that I was safe. I was grateful that my wife was safe. I was grateful that that I still had abilities to use my artistic talent to do new things. I had, and it's really, and I know this is really hard to think about this in the moment, and it does take days, weeks, months to be able to start turning it around. But I have found, I had a brain injury 7 years ago, and I learned a little bit about memory and how your memory works. Every time you think of something or kind of replace a memory in your mind, it's, as far as your emotions and your emotions and your senses feel, that's like you're living it all over again. And that reinforces that memory. It's kind of like you're reliving that memory, and it gets more firmly embedded in your brain, in your memory banks, however that works. And so if you can bring back those thoughts of
What you have,
what
maybe.
you have, or what you had, what you have lost, if you want to remember them, the good things that you want to latch onto, then you're reinforcing that memory in your mind, and you'll hold on to it longer.
So would you recommend, I mean, it's like anything with negative thinking, redirecting. So did you
Yes.
have a way, like, every time you would go back to, like, we'll say the negative thought or whatever, what would you do to replace it with the positive? Just think of your wife and think of your, like, what would you do?
Now I'm gonna have to think. So
Or
I don't go back to thinking about how what it was like when I first saw the destruction of my studio. But I guess that's where replacing the sight of the ashes of my studio with the thought of roses growing and having finding roses and the beauty in what's still there, what you still have. I have been able to, since that loss, we have a new home and a new studio, new to us. We didn't rebuild in that spot, but we bought another place with a studio that has a beautiful pond on it and a nice relaxing atmosphere, and I'm just it has turned into a big blessing for me, just because I still have that place, that a new place that I had before. Now it's a new place to replace what I had lost.
so I'm glad you have that.
Yeah.
Do you think, but back then you said it was very temporary, that you kind of would revert to the negative thinking? I don't know if you said it was like,
Yeah.
you said short time. What were you doing? What were you thinking to stay positive?
So art therapy is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's just being creative. I did a number of paintings of that disaster, on my own way. I collected from the charred wood of my studio. There were a few 2x4s that were still, just the black charred stuff. I collected a bunch of that. It was charred all the way through. I've scraped off some of that charcoal stuff, ground it up into powder and mixed it into paint. And
I remember, yeah, you telling me that.
And now just about every one of my paintings includes some of the ashes from my studio. And it's amazing how far that goes. I mean, there's the account in the New Testament about Jesus feeding 5,000 people with 5 loaves of bread. Well, I've got five little pieces of my studio that is just lasting forever. I don't think I'll ever run out.
Yeah. How many years now? Like
So it's been almost 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years.
And I've just used a little tiny bit.
So we'll just catch people up here. I'll put something in a bio thing because I want to use some of this. Just to catch people up on let's just recap. Your just recap.
So, my name is Matt Harline.
Yeah.
I'm an artist. I've always been an artist, but I took a 41-year detour in life to be an electrical engineer, so I could, because that's what people said I needed to do after high school, so I could make money.
Yes. Yes.
And then 7 years ago, I was in an accident while riding a bicycle, ended up with a traumatic brain injury, and being an engineer was no longer really an option. And so I've been taking art classes, and art was my hobby, I guess you could say. And while I was, my wife tells me I was really in a bad spot after that accident, I just said, what am I going to do now? I can't, what's going to happen to me? And she said, why don't you start painting? So I started painting, and I tell people I'm still recovering from that brain injury because I'm not 100%. I don't even know what percentage I would say I am, but I'm still recovering, and I'm still painting, and I'm finding more fulfillment now than I think I've had some good times in the past as an engineer, but this is who I really am.
And then 5 years ago, so this is being recorded now, August 2023. So 5 years ago, there was a fire at not only your art studio in Paradise.
Well, in Concow, which is a little bit east of Paradise, but
the Paradise, if people followed that story as well. I don't know how much burned. I don't know all the different details of that. I mean, I know it was, I don't know how much, how expansive it was, but it was pretty severe.
Well, so there were 85 people that died in the campfire. There were somewhere between 10 and 15,000 structures that burned down. Basically, the whole town of Paradise was destroyed, and then there's other communities in the foothills around there that were destroyed as well.
Yeah, I did remember that it was pretty much the whole town.
Yeah, and they had. I mean, I didn't experience it because I wasn't actually at my house when the fire happened, but I saw TV coverage of it. And saw videos that people had taken of them trying to escape with fire all around them, trying to drive out or run out and get out of there. And I literally had dreams or nightmares of me being in that situation.
Mhm.
And, that's really totally understandable that people would have that kind of reaction to remembering such a disaster like that.
Mhm.
And I look at what happened in Maui, and I think, yeah, that's a huge thing. I understand a little bit what they're going. I didn't have to physically escape myself, but I did suffer loss, and it's hard to get through. But
Mhm.
you can. Um, you, from the ashes of disaster grow the roses of success.
And probably what's the one piece, and we'll see if we get to the next part, if there's one piece of, or the piece of advice, because you've said a lot of great things, of course, that you think would be the most comforting, aside from like a lot of things, time and allow yourself to just process, like be easy on yourself.
Yeah.
What
and
take the help, take the support.
yes, take the support, get lots of hugs,
Uh-huh.
and whenever you get a hug, you give a hug,
Uh-huh.
and everyone kind of supports each other, and reach out and talk with people that are going through it right now, or that have been through things like this before, and get the human support, the emotional support that you need.
What about, don't be in such a rush to get on with life
Oh,
again?
that's probably a good thing too.
I think people, I mean, some people, I know who I am, people are very spiritual people, but at the same time too, if you didn't have a plan, it's kind of like, right? I don't have an income. I don't have a home. You're so distracted by what's going on. You might be a little bit out of your head. That's why I think praying
Yeah,
for that means to you. I
yeah,
think going within and just, again, just a way to calm yourself, find a way to calm and bring the peace so you
yeah,
can get clear on the next move, but don't be in such a rush,
yeah.
rush to
And
get to what? I mean, like, the tourism, especially, that's such a touristy area. I know you heard me talk about that. Like, so much of the hustle and the bustle, like, what are you rushing back to
yeah,
get? I know there's the part, of course, providing for yourself and your family. How do you not feel rushed? So, but you gotta take care, you have to take care of yourself. How are you, if you can't hold it together,
yeah,
how are you gonna get back to it?
yeah. That's easy to say. You and I both know that it's easy to say that that's what I need to do, but actually going and doing it,
Mhm.
that's where you need someone to share with.
Well, I think the bringing it in, like a really simple thing, it sounds so simple and so dumb because anybody can do it. I say it's dumb because it's so simple. Is that the getting up in the morning, right? You get over, however, you roll over on your back and you put your hand on your heart and you give gratitude, you set your intention, even it is, help me to just be still right now.
Yeah,
Or you sit up in your bed, don't pick up your phone. If you have to sleep with your phone by there, don't pick up the phone. Give yourself the 2 to 3 minutes. If the bathroom is your place to be by yourself or whatever it is, right? Like,
yeah,
take the couple of minutes. It doesn't have to be some special thing, but generally, when you wake up in the morning before you go to bed, not everybody, immediately they're doing something, then they're going to bed, but when you wake up,
uh-huh.
right? simple little things. So I think that was good. I think I only have about 10 minutes, right?
No, I actually have to leave right now.
Okay, I think that that's good. While I was gonna go in another direction with the other question.
Okay.
I think that this is good to end off